let's look at a retirement strategy for a 50-year-old with $500,000 saved for retirement. And he's asking the question, hey, when can I retire? And when can I retire? And what about taxes? And what about claiming Social Security benefits? And what about the market? How should I be invested? That's what we're going to look at today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. We're going to go through a scenario for a 50-year-old with $500,000 saved for retirement, asking the question, when can I retire and am I on track? Because we want to get you to retirement, we want to get you through retirement, and we want to protect your ability to stay in retirement. So let's look at this. This is Jack Foster. This is his scenario. So Jack is 50 years old and 5 months. He's got a birthday in August 15th. He'll be 51. His current salary is about $110,000 per year. Now, he is a plumber. He's self-employed. So his income does fluctuate up and down depending on how many toilets he unclogs. And so we've averaged it out over the last 5 years. It's about $110,000 for the last 5 years. I hope it's more than that, but we're just going to look at it at $110,000. And we're going to show a projected annual salary increase of 1%. So we're going to show more people clogging up more toilets and needing Jack for work. All right. Now we're going to look at a projected retirement date of January of 2033. So he'll be 60 years and 5 months at that point. So we're looking at a 60-year-old, 10 years from now, retirement date. Okay, so we've got 10 years to build up our retirement assets, our retirement savings, our retirement income portfolio to make sure that we've got enough money for retirement income and to last throughout our retirement. The first thing that we're going to look at with Jack, okay, Social Security. This is a big thing. So we're looking at Jack taking it at 67. That would be his full retirement age. He was born after 1960. So his full retirement age is 67 years old. $2,800 is his gross monthly benefit at 67. Now, he's self-employed, and so his Social Security benefit is less for someone who's made $100,000 a year for a lot of his career. But the reason for that is he's got a lot of business expenses that go on top of that. So $2,800 is what he's going to get for Social Security at 67. We need to look at this. Again, Jack's single. Now, he's divorced, okay? He has 2 children. And so as a single guy, he needs to look at Social Security like an income payment, like an annuity income payment. We need to try to maximize his Social Security because it's on me, myself, and I, right? There's no other assets that are going to come in to Jack's life. There's no other plan that's going to be added in as an influx of retirement savings. And so for him, as a single guy, we want to try to maximize his Social Security because it's guaranteed, backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government, and has a COLA increase on it for the rest of his life. So $2,800 is what it would be at 67. Now let me show you this real quick because I think this is really imperative that you understand exactly what Social Security looks like. So let's think about Jack for a minute. So we've got Jack and he's 50, okay? Now, if he takes Social Security at 62, he's going to get 70% of his full retirement benefit. So he'd only get 70% of his full retirement benefit. Remember, his full retirement benefit is $2,800. So at 62, he's only going to get $1,960. Now, at 67, he would get 100%, which is the $2,800, okay? And then at 70, we're able to add in another he's get 124% of his full retirement benefit at 70. So now we're able to add in basically another 30%, which would be $3,472. So at 70, he's going to get 124% of his full retirement benefit. So as a single guy, we look at this and I say, gosh, Jack, if we could get $3,400 per month for the rest of your life at 70, 20 years from now, that would be really good because we know that this is going to get a COLA increase between 50 and 70. And we know that once you turn this on at 70, it's going to get a COLA increase for the next 15 and 20 years. That's a lot of money that you're leaving on the table if you take it too soon. But the question becomes, can our assets support taking Social Security here? Because if we retire at 60 and our retirement assets can't support that, we might have to take Social Security here to give our retirement assets a break. We got to plug the gap so that our retirement income will come from somewhere and be able to last forever. So that's what we're going to look at. What's going to make the most sense for Jack? Okay, so let's go back to the plan. Now, we go to assets. So Jack has just a few assets. He's got money in the bank, $50,000. Okay, he's got a good hedge in the bank. At TD Ameritrade, we manage money for Jack at TD Ameritrade. He has a SEP IRA. In his SEP, he has $375,000, of which he's putting about $1,500 a month into his SEP IRA. That's 25% of his salary, okay? So with a SEP IRA, you can put in 25%, up to 25% of your salary, or like $67,000, and that changes every year, okay? So he's putting in 25% of his salary, $1,500. He also has a TD Ameritrade Freedom Fund, which is a non-qualified brokerage account of $75,000, where he's putting in $250 a month. So all total, he's putting about $1,750 per month into the market. Okay, so we want to see, projected out, how much will you have at retirement putting in $1,750 and getting a rate of return from the overall market. Now, Jack's primary residence is $375,000 and it is paid off. He doesn't have any debt. So the reason he has less saved for retirement now, because he paid a lot onto his house to get that paid off. So we have a $375,000 home that's paid off, but that can be used for an asset in the future. I did not mention Jack lives in Montana, and so, you know, if he wants to move to Florida, he could, Texas, he could, but he's in a lower cost area of Montana, and so his house, even though it's paid off, is not necessarily an asset where he could sell it and move to another low cost area of the country. So this is going to be, it needs to be used as an influx into his retirement plan in the way of maybe a reverse mortgage would be if need be. Okay, so from a rate of return standpoint, we're going to earn 6% before retirement, and we're going to earn 4% after retirement. All we're trying to do is to just kind of downshift his risk as we go, right? So right now at 50, we're still trying to earn as much as we possibly can. It's all about capital appreciation. But the closer we get to age 60, it becomes more about capital preservation, because eventually it's going to become distribution, right? We're going to distribute his assets. House is going to earn a 1% rate of return. Any cash flows or RMDs are at 6 and 4. Okay, so his overall rate of return is 5.5% until he gets to retirement. So at 60, his rate of return is going to be 4% from 60 to 100. So for all of you who comment and say the market's not going to make 6% for the next decade, here's 4% for you. Okay, we're going to downshift to 4. Now, current risk classification, 85, whoa, not 85%, go back up here. This is at risk. Perfect, there we go. Current risk classification, 90% of his money is at risk, which means it's in the market, okay? And 10% is in the bank. Taxes, this is bigger. 75% of his money is qualified, meaning there will be taxes that need to be paid on this. So the question becomes, on this money, do we want to do some Roth conversions? What's that look like? How can we get more money into the Freedom Fund or into a Roth IRA so there's less taxes in the future? What we want to look at from a tax standpoint is he's putting this $1,500 in for taxes every year. Now, he's self-employed, so he's putting money away as a deduction for his business taxes as well. He's trying to get his, you know, he's basically trying to get his tax bill as low as possible. It's just him. He's a solo guy, solo entrepreneur. So there's not any employees. There's no solo 401ks or 401ks. So he has a SEP. He's trying to bring his income down as much as possible. The deduction does that. So we need to look at what his taxes are going to be. And if we adjust this distribution, can we put more money into the brokerage account, eliminate the SEP contribution so that there's less taxable income in the future? or is it better to continue to do the SEP deposit to bring the taxes down now? And if you want a financial EKG, go to the description of this video, get in touch with me. Let's put one together for you to get you to retirement, to get you through retirement, and protect your ability to stay in retirement. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye. All right, so now let's look at, can I retire, right? We've retired at 60. How long is our money going to last? Because that's really the question we need to know. Are we going to delay Social Security? Are we going to take it early? How long is our money going to last? Now, in their case, here, let's look at this. So we're at age 60. We have no pension and no Social Security. Remember, we're going to take it early, but we don't have anything else between those early years. So our assets go from 515 down to 455 because we're having to use that for retirement income. But then at age 62, our Social Security kicks on, which means our expenses at $5,423 subtracted from our Social Security means we only need $1,500 a month. Now that does increase with inflation, and eventually at 92, we're out of spendable assets, but we do have this house. So it's not a bad scenario, right? We could reverse mortgage the house, we could sell it. So taking Social Security early for them made the most sense tax-wise, and it got them into their early 90s, retiring at 60 with $500,000. Now, let's go back, because I hear a lot of you talking about it. Should they delay Social Security? Let's look at it. Let's go back to the calculator. Let's put them at 67, save that, and let's just look at it. Let's go to taxes. Let's change the brackets back down. Oh, we're going to increase in 2027, so let's keep that. So let's go to 2024, that's a full year. So this is not going to change. There's 6.19, 2025, 6.49. So we're paying taxes. Remember at age 62, we weren't paying any taxes. Taking Social Security early. Here we're still paying taxes. Now it's just a little bit. $4,000 here, $4,000 there. Here's our increase, 8.55. Now we're paying about $6,200. But let's go to retirement and see what that does. Oh wow, look at this. Now we're going to delay Social Security to 67, but look what it does. We're out of money at 86. Remember at 62 we were out at 92. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Now how long did we delay Social Security? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. By delaying Social Security 7 years, we ran out of income 7 years earlier than we did claiming Social Security at 62. Now, does this work for everybody? Is this your situation? Should you run out and claim Social Security at 62? I don't know. You need to contact me. We need to do a Social Security optimization schedule. We need to do a retirement EKG. We need to do a financial EKG to make sure you can get to retirement, through retirement, protect your ability to stay in retirement. But I wanted to show you why for them it made sense to collect early, to save on taxes, to use that retirement income for those first 2 years, take that Social Security. I'm not worried about RMDs as much because, again, showing it in the software with increased taxes, they're out at 92 years old. So if the tax code stays where it's at or increases, they're going to be okay. And so when you're running your financial EKG, it has to be based on you. All right? Well, hey, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye. How much retirement income does $500,000 save for retirement generate? And what we're going to do is we're going to look at a total portfolio retirement income plan. So instead of picking out stocks and ETFs or real estate and saying, hey, buy this and get 12% and buy this and get 6%, what I want to do is look at, okay, David, this is how much you've got. This is when Social Security is going to start. This is what taxes look like. This is inflation over the long term. This is how much income you can exactly generate from your portfolio to make this last forever. You ready to do that? Let's go. All right, so here's what we've got. We've got David, and he is 60 years old. Now, David was making $90,000 a year, and he lives in Virginia. He wants to retire, so we're going to show him retired in the software because that is what he wants to do. Now, David's Social Security is $3,000 at 67. So at 67, his full retirement benefit for Social Security would be $3,000. If he decided to take it earlier, and we'll go through those scenarios, but if he decided to take Social Security earlier, he would get a reduced benefit. Now, let me show you what that looks like. So a reduced benefit, if he decided to take it at 62, he would only get $2,100. If he took it at 63, he's going to get $2,250, 64, $2,400, and you can see how that works all the way up until 67. Now, from 68, 69, and 70, he's actually going to get an increased benefit, $3,240 at 68, $3,480 at 69, and $3,720 at 70. It's 124% benefit if you wait until 70. So we're going to look at 67 first, and then we can adjust those Social Security timings, 62, 70, 64, depending on how long his money is projected to last. Again, we're trying to generate retirement income, but we've got to ask the question first, how long is this money going to last, right? Because we can hope that we can generate 15% a year, but that's not reality. So we got to look at reality for a little bit. So we go to assets. Here's what we've got. Two simple assets. He's got $500,000 in a traditional IRA. Now, if he stays working, it's in a 401k, but we're going to assume that he's rolling it over into a traditional IRA, and he's got a bank account that's got $15,000 in it. So this is his emergency fund, and here's his retirement investments. And we have a home that's paid for that's worth $400,000. So if you look, his total portfolio value is $915,000, $515 in liquid assets and $400 in a protected asset that's paid for. Now, the weighted return that we're going to use for his portfolio is 6%, meaning the money that's in the market is going to earn a 6% rate of return. We're just projecting that out. The stock market has averaged 8% over the last 50 years with inflation. So we're going to go to 6 to be more conservative. We can show 5 and 4, but we're going to start at 6. So let's go to expenses. Now, his current monthly expenses are $4,000, and we're going to give that an inflation rate of 3.27%. That means this $4,000 is going to grow on an annual basis of 3.27%. Now, cash flows is where we would add in any kind of vacation, any kind of maybe if he had a daughter and she was getting married, we need to take money out. At this point, we're not worried about that. All we're trying to figure out is how long is our money going to last? Now, let's go to retirement. So here we go. We're 60 years old. We've got $500,000 in retirement assets, and we're trying to figure out how long this money is going to last. Well, if you look up here, we're out at 76. So we're out at about 16 years. Over here, this will show us what we need to either put into the portfolio or our required rate of return in order to make this money last at least until his 90s. So we would need to earn 10.73% per year, which is unheard of, or we need to add $428,000 into the portfolio. Now, he could sell his house and add that into his portfolio, but then if he rents, we're going to increase his expenses. So unless he wants to live under a bridge, then that's not necessarily a viable option. So you can see if we take Social Security at 67, there it is kicking in at $3,000. But at that point, our assets have fallen to $249,000 and we're out of money at 76. Now you're asking how much retirement income do we need to generate? Well, for him, in the year 2023, we need to generate, starting in April, $4,000 a month with inflation. So you can see inflation on this dollars. Inflation takes a big bite. Inflation is compound interest just working in the opposite direction of compound interest in your 401k. You put money into your 401k, that's compound interest, but that's working in your favor. Compound interest on inflation is working in your disadvantage. It's taking that dollar bill that you got and making it worth 90 cents, not 100 cents, okay? So we need to be able to generate a little bit more income in order to make this last longer. Now, what are we going to do? You know, a lot of people will say, well, he needs to invest in real estate, or he needs to put it in this ETF, this MLP. It's paying 12% guaranteed, man. Well, I've been around 16 years and nothing is guaranteed forever, especially in the stock market. And so we need to look at this on a holistic scale and say, hey, let's take some common sense steps to get you to retirement. So the first thing I always do is I go back to expenses and I say, hey, Dave, $4,000 in expenses, can you lower that? In his case, he couldn't. That's his bare bones. 4,000 is where he needs to be. And I said, okay. So the other option is Social Security. Let's look at Social Security. So let's go to Social Security at 62. What if we claim at 62 instead of 67? So instead of having those 7 years of no income where we're pulling out income from our investments, what if we take it at 62? So we go back, boom. We start taking Social Security at 62. There's 2,100. Now look, we got to 78. So we were at 76 and now we're at 78. So we're moving in the right direction. So as a financial advisor, I might say, hey, Dave, we might want to take Social Security early. That might make sense, but I think you're going to have to work a couple more years. So let's look at that. Let's go back and I'll say, hey, Dave, what if, now remember, he still is working. So what if you worked until 62? Let's just work 2 more years. We're going to take Social Security at 62, but let's say you work 2 more years. By working 2 more years, let's flip this over to a 401k because now it's become a 401k. And let's put his contribution. He makes $90,000. He gets a 4% contribution. So that's $300 on his end. He gets a 4% match, $600. That's right where we're at. So we're going to put $600 in. We go to retirement. 83. We're moving in the right direction. Now, let me show you something we look at for people. This really helps a lot of people out. We go to this pre-retirement section here. What this tells me, here's Dave working. Okay, here's that Social Security kicking in at 62. So here's our gross salary. Here's our net monthly income after our contribution and after taxes. Here's our net monthly expenses. So Dave has a green, he has leftover money at the end of each month. Instead of his month being longer than his money, he has money left over. And I'll say, Dave, you got $14,000 left over at the end of each month. Can we take half of that and invest it and try to build your retirement up? So we go back to assets. Let's add in an asset. So there's David. Let's just add in a brokerage account. We call that a freedom fund. Let's put this into non-qualified. Let's make this let's put managed money at risk. And we're going to put in $7,000 a year. So that's $583 a month. We're going to do that till we retire, which is 2 years. Now what does that do for us? Boom. It gets us an extra year. So again, we're moving in the right direction. And so we still have to look at this and say, hey, Dave, now we've got to make some tougher decisions. Do we continue to work? Do we possibly work part-time? Like if you don't want to work your 40-hour job, and let's say he doesn't want to work his 40-hour job. Now we come back here and I'll say, okay, at 62, your Social Security is $2,100. We've got to make up $2,513. So in the year 2025, we need to make up some money. What if you made $1,000 a month? So $12,000 a year, and we were able to maybe cut in half this income coming out of our portfolio. What would that do for you? Remember, we got to keep our money. We can't make too much money and be on Social Security either. So we got to, navigate that. So we go to cash flows. We add in some part-time work. So let's say PT work. Let's say $1,000. Let's start this in 25. And let's just do it for, let's say 5 years. He works part-time, making $1,000. We get a 1% increase. and we're just going to pay expenses with that part-time work, okay? Now we go to retirement, and we continue to move in the right direction. So we're at 86. So you can see how there's steps that need to be taken in order to continue to move us. Remember, at 86, he still has a house that's paid for, that he could do a reverse mortgage, he could sell it, whatever. So all we're trying to do is get him to the finish line and taking the right steps. It's not about how much you can generate always. It's about, does it actually work in reality? And then we start putting those common sense steps into place. I hope this has helped. Thanks for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.